welcome to Conquering Mount Scrapmore with Brenda. Today, I have Deb with Sew With Debee on as my guest, and we're going to be interviewing her in a bit. She's part of our Facebook community, and she organizes the Canadian fabric swap and helps get everybody their fun fabrics that they're doing. My hat is off to you. That's a lot of work to be doing that I didn't have time for. I'm so glad somebody volunteered. Debbie, hi, how's it going today?
Oh, it's great. Thank you. And I really appreciate you having me. This is so much fun to get to know you and to be able to do this.
Oh yeah, and you and I have sat and sewed in our virtual sewing room too in there. And it was fun. I remember that one day in particular, all of a sudden we had ladies popping in and out all day. It was great. Um, but I want to let people know that you have a YouTube channel, and your channel is called Sew With Debee. And I want to ask you a bunch of questions about that. But okay, so let's get started with, why did you start quilting? Or when did you start quilting? When and why?
Um, I officially started quilting during the pandemic. Um, I had a cousin who was having a baby. So, like a lot of people, what do? You make a baby blanket. I decided to try quilting because prior to that, I always knit and crocheted. My wrist gave me up on that. So I thought, let's pull out the sewing machine. It was in our storage locker. Let's get some fabric and throw it together. And then I was hooked. The rest is history. So that was in the fall of 2020.
Yeah.
And I just absolutely love it. It's one of the best things I've been doing. I did used to make clothing, so to transition over to quilting wasn't a huge leap for me. And my training is in graphic design, so it's really given me a chance to be able to bring design back into what I like to do.
Yeah, that isn't that cool when you've got, you already have an eye for what you want to do, like on paper, and you can translate that now to fiber. I didn't know that you hadn't started quilting all that long ago. That's cool that you're that far into it now and you're that badly hooked, I guess, or that hooked on it. Yeah, it's fun. The so like, but why did you start a YouTube channel? Like, did
Um, Sorry to cut you off.
no, 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 no.
I think it's because I didn't really watch YouTube until we were forced to stay at home. We've never had cable in our house. We've always had rented movies or streamed movies. My husband has always watched YouTube. So we really got into it. And then all of a sudden, it's like, hey, I can look up things besides cars on here. This is kind of cool. So I started watching a bunch of different quilters. And then from that, I learned a lot because I consider myself self taught. And then last year, my husband still works full time, and I just loved it so much. And I thought maybe it's time to do something for myself. So that's one of the reasons. The other thing is, I'm actually a very shy person, and I had a very difficult time in my job career with being bullied and picked on by some of my bosses. So I thought maybe this is a way for me to be able to overcome some of that
Yeah.
and to go out on a limb and not hide away and just share some of the things that I've learned along. And if a few people can jump up and learn some things from me, I've done what I needed to do.
Yeah, isn't that great though when you can teach them somebody something, and it's or re teach them, because sometimes we as we sew and we quilt, we develop our own bad habits, and then you show them, well, maybe it would be more accurate if you did this, or have you tried this, or and we as quilters, we need to know as many things or different ways to do as like you say yourself, like there's so many different ways of doing a half square triangle. You might as well learn them all, right? I mean, if you can, but Yeah, that's very, it's cool to teach somebody something like that. That's, yeah. So you say you started watching YouTube. So who is your favorite quilt person, or what's your favorite designer? Like,
Well, that's a tough one because I'm still watching different styles. I'm trying to find my own style, but I haven't quite got there yet.
yeah,
Um, the first people I started watching was the Missouri Star,
yeah,
so, Jordan Fabrics, Karen Brown from Just Get It Done
yeah,
Quilts. I started watching you probably a year and a half ago, but I didn't subscribe right away. A lot of the time, if I'm watching on my TV, I'm not subscribing, I'm just being a viewer.
yeah,
So that's something to viewers out there. We really appreciate it when people can take the time to go on their phone or laptop or even through their TV and hit the like and share and
yeah.
subscribe or comment, because it really does help in some way. And there's just so many different talented people out there. You know, I probably got 200 different channels that I sneak and watch and comment on, and everyone's just got their own styles.
Well, currently, I have like over 600 people I subscribe to, right? I'm just like, yeah, I don't get a chance to watch anybody anymore. It's just like, oh no. But yeah, I know, I hear those names that Jenny Doan too. Yeah, like Missouri Star Quilt Company. When you hear the story how they started with nothing, and they are now helping everyone in that town that their store is in. I mean, it's amazing. It's an amazing. It's just thoroughly amazing to me that she was able to do that. Just by having a slightly different business plan, right? And like you say, being on YouTube, right? I mean, it's wonderful what that woman has done. I mean, Jordan Fabrics too. I mean, I've been watching those guys too for years now, and I'm always impressed with her and what she does, what she's able to show us. And yeah, very cool indeed. Um,
The
do
the quilting community is amazing as well. You
Yeah,
know, everyone is so willing to help out and, offer an opinion or a solution without it being too pushy or whatever. Like the friends that I've been able to personally um, meet in the last year and a half, because I am a member of a few groups and guilds now,
yeah.
and they're lasting relationships. And I just really love what it's brought into my life.
I know, yeah, because they bring friends and quilting friends and people that you just met. Oh, they're a quilter. Oh, they're now your new best friend. It's like, yeah, this it's kind of it's weird, isn't it? It's kind of weird. One of the couple of names that you missed off of my favorite lists, Lori Holt and Pat Sloan. Both
Yes.
of them design fabric. Both of them have a YouTube channel and they make patterns. It's wonderful what those ladies do. But I say I like this one, I like that, I like this designer, I like that. I shouldn't say that because I like it all.
I
Really.
do. I do like it all, and I don't want to leave anyone out. So that's why I was hesitating, because I forgot the ones that you mentioned.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, how could you? They're like very popular.
So, now okay, now that you've got this YouTube channel, so what would a viewer expect to see on your channel? Like, what kind of videos do you put out? How many videos you put out a week? Like, what are they expecting to see?
Right now, it's because I am fairly new. I've tested a few different videos, and the tutorials seem to be the ones that are getting some traction.
Yeah,
Um, People seem to like the ones I thought people would really like a lot aren't the ones that are getting the views.
yeah,
Um, and I'm still trying to figure out why it is that way. I mean, maybe there's magic attached to it. I do not know. A couple of the full scrappy quilts that I put together, they've done exceptionally well. I love doing projects of that size. but I can't do them for every video because I put out a video once a week. And I don't think people, right now, I just finished a series on different flower blocks. And I think after a while, people go, okay, move on already. I want to see something new. So I'm still trying to figure that one out. So any suggestions?
I haven't figured that out yet. When I do, I'll let you know because
Okay.
the videos that have done the best for me on my channel are ones that I was kind of, I don't know if I should put this one out.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, maybe, kind of like that. And I put them out. I put a smile on my face and okay, I'll put them out. And they've done the best. Like seriously, like the best. And I'm like, well, obviously I have no idea what I'm doing, right? So yeah, I don't figure, I never pretend I knew how I got here. I don't. I just like I say, I'm having fun. I hope the viewers are having fun and kind of thing, right? But yeah, it's like it's once a week for you, right? I'm doing what, 3 a week.
I don't know how you do it. But here's the secret, don't tell anybody. A lot of the time, I'm actually building the block as I'm filming. So
Yeah.
I actually haven't got all the measurements laid out. I'm actually designing it as I'm filming. And that's why I have to film it the way I do because it's like, that's not working. Okay, let's go back and fix it. I leave my oopses in there as
Yeah.
well. I'm trying to keep it real because I don't want to be polished. I just want, people to like me for how I'm doing it. So,
Well, like I filmed one today, and yes, I was keeping it real, and my method didn't work for me, right? Because stuff kept getting stuck, and I was just like, well, that's strange. It's not working. Okay, well, we got to do it another way then. There's different ways you can do things because there's several different ways. I was doing Y seams of all things, right?
well,
And it was just like, this should work. I don't know why it got hooked up in the feed dogs and it just wasn't working. It just refused to work. And I was like, okay. And it's like you say, keep it real. I had to get my stitch ripper out, yeah, you got to keep it real. At the end, the block lay is absolutely flat. And I'm like, okay, I'll take that as a win, right? Because some days it just doesn't work. Like what you're talking about is almost like an improv, like doing improv quilting where you're just assembling the blocks as you go, kind of.
I have a loose plan. Sometimes I do have it laid out, but a lot of the time I'm making changes on the fly. And then when it's done, I'm going, oh, I kind of like how that turned out. And I kind of pat myself on the back and I move on to the next one.
Yeah, that's very cool too, like doing more of it because that's more of an artistic talent too, right? That you can do something on the fly and throw it together on the fly. That's really cool. I tend to draw out like little shorthand, crazy little things that nobody else on the planet would ever understand, but I've got them all, Yeah. So um, so okay, because what kind of a fiber artist would you consider yourself? Like, usually there's like modern, traditional, scrappy, that like where would you fit yourself into the fiber artist community?
Right now, my group would be scrappy because everything I do is using scraps.
Yeah.
I love being gifted fabric from my friends and then trying to make it into something. I also tend to lean towards the modern end of the design. Anything that's repetitive, I get bored. So
Um,
if I had to do the same block 100 times, I wouldn't be doing that pattern because it's just like the one behind me. That was like my third quilt that I'd ever done, and I'm surprised that I actually completed it.
well,
But,
okay, what quilt is that behind you then? That
um,
Tell us a little bit about that one.
this is a temperature quilt that I did in 2020. Actually, I started in 2021, but I went back and got the data from 2020. And you probably can't see it, but there's there's a black one, and there's different squares related to what was going on in the world. And the maple leaves are on certain dates as well. My dad passed away in 2020, so there's a block that's in tribute to him. Um, so I started it actually in March and went right through to March of 2021.
Oh,
So
very
it,
cool.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I actually, because I did the extra stitching, I ended up with an extra set of half square triangles for each one. And I've sewn those together in another quilt, which hasn't been quilted yet. So it's sitting in my UFO pile. Don't know when I'll finish it.
It'll happen. It'll happen. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So now it looks like you did that one in rows, like by month. Is that what
Yeah,
you did, or
yes, I did.
yeah? Because I've seen them where they start in the middle and then they start sewing around then out, and then it's like that's
Well, because I hadn't done anything like this before, innocent sometimes is works to your advantage. So
yeah.
I say I'm innocent. So
Is that gray or white that you use as the stripe?
that was a gray.
That's lovely. Yeah.
And the colors, all the colored fabric was actually an IKEA duvet
Oh.
that I had bought from a secondhand store. So it was multicolored, so I cut it up into um, the block sizes that I needed to construct these.
Oh, very neat. That's actually a good idea to recycle the fabric. Yeah, perfect.
And
That yeah.
I still have some of the IKEA fabric left over that I've been incorporating into other designs.
Cool.
Mhm.
So now, what kind of things do you have upcoming on your channel?
I can't tell you
Oh, it's
that.
gonna be surprises. And oh, okay. No,
um,
fair enough. Fair enough. People have to start watching if they want to see what's coming up, right? I mean, I'm always when I do speaking engagements, I'll ask my last question to the group is, do you guys want to see sneak peeks of what's coming up on my channel? And I have a pile of blocks that I'm going to be presenting for them. And that's always changing, right? Depending how far out we're filmed, right? So it's like, yeah, like the last couple of times, yeah, they were like, yes, 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 we want to see. And it was like, okay.
I actually haven't been able to work ahead that far.
Yeah,
We did go away for a month, and I did all of those in advance and had them uploaded in advance, which I'm very thankful that I did. And I also had one for when we came home, it was already done. I'm usually one or two ahead, and that's it. So if something happened in my life, there wouldn't be videos on YouTube because I'm I'm still trying to figure out what my rhythm needs to be.
yeah.
And I also have the squirrel mentality because I think I'm going to do one thing and then all of a sudden, oh, I don't feel like doing that one. I'm going to go onto this one instead, which is the one that's coming up. That's how it evolved. I was playing around with something and it's like, wow, I like how that came out a lot better. And all of a sudden I had another
Yeah.
quilt design. So
I learned my lesson when I cut my finger with a rotary cutter. We were filming ahead and we were trying to build time so we could spend the summer months with the grandkids. So we filmed way ahead and then I cut myself.
mm,
And it was quite bad. I ended up with 9 stitches and a concussion. It was just kind of a gong show with the whole hospital thing and everything. And I couldn't sew really, and I couldn't cut, and I couldn't, like all of a sudden this finger, the pointer is out of commission, and it's on your left hand. Even though you're right-handed, it's like you've got this big wad of, bandage there. It was like, yeah, so that sewing or videotaping ahead was a blessing because otherwise that could have been really bad because I was out for like a month and it was like, oh well. it is what it is, right? So, but yeah, everybody's got to find their own rhythm as to what they want to do and how far they want to go ahead. And the only problem with filming ahead is you cannot react quickly,
Yeah.
right? So I mean that's the disadvantage, right? So, but okay, now, okay, where or what do you want your channel to be in 2 years?
Um, like any channel, if I can grow a little bit, but I'm quite happy with where I am right now. I'm actually over the moon excited because before Christmas I had 30 subscribers and now I'm at almost 600. Thank you, Brenda.
You're welcome.
You've really helped my channel grow. I appreciate it. Um, yeah, so if I have consistent people coming in and watching, I would be very, very happy with that.
Yeah, don't give up because it's the first 100. I thought I would never make the first 100, never mind the first 1,000, the first 100. And then when I got the first 100, then it was like, okay, I need 1,000. And you just don't give up because within 10 months we did but everybody's different. Don't judge yourself on the first once we got over 1,000, we made 31 cents.
Woo!
I squealed with delight because we finally made 31 cents. I was like, 31 cents won't even buy you a coffee, babe. It's kind of like,
Um,
but I mean, it was exciting that all of a sudden we did that 1,000. Yeah, so don't give up. A lot of people they give up too quickly, and it's like, no, it comes. It does come, right?
I'm I'm not in it for the money. What I
No.
would like to see is most of what I do now is for donation.
Yes, me here too. Yep.
So if I could have some of those materials covered, like the fabric, I'll always be able to get from friends and give it to
Yeah.
them through swaps. It's the batting and the other consumables. If I can get that covered, I'd be very, very happy. That's all I want. You
Yep,
know,
pretty
I'm
much.
not
Yeah.
I'm not in it to buy a big studio or have fancy equipment or anything like that. I'm doing it because I love sharing what I do and making things for other people.
Yeah, I'm at the point where last year when everything was so crazy in Alberta with the wildfires and the Ukrainian refugees coming and Sleep in Heavenly Peace was overwhelmed, like all of these charities that needed quilts and people that were in tough times, plus all the normal, spousal abuse and all of the normal charities you were giving to. I was able to give batting to the quilt guilds because they were like, okay, we're only allowed to buy so much batting a year, but we need all these quilts made. So yeah, like, okay, here's some batting, here's some backing, here's this, here's that. Like, what do we need now, right? Kind of thing, right? And they were like, oh, thank God, okay, and then they were able to shuffle off a bunch of stuff, so now I'm not stuck going, okay, I have no batting, or I can buy thread, or I can buy, I can pretty much shop for whatever I want. So that's kind of nice too. But then I can make really cute quilts,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm happy too, right? Because that people don't understand what those charity quilts or those quilting for others or community service quilts, what they do for the person that gets it, because that okay, we give it to our community service person to deal with. They give it to a charity, and in turn, the charity doles it out to the person that receives it. So we don't see that
Mhm.
person's reaction when they get a beautiful quilt. Like we don't see it, but it does do so much more than we're able to, think, like what we think it will do for them. Like it does so much more for them. And that's why it's so important to do the quilting for others and, do all those community service quilts. I guess charity quilts is not quite the correct term, but I mean, that's what I grew up calling it, so. Oh, well, we'll get there. Charity. Yeah, you do some charity work, you got to do some charity work, right? So, yeah, I'm in with you too, as long as it's fun and we're able to do and teach and Yeah, let's, not worry about it, right? It's one of those things. We're not selling anything, really, Debbie. You and I are not selling anything.
No,
So yeah, yeah, okay.
and that's not my plan either.
What was your quilt show experience? You've entered stuff into a quilt show, right? And
One,
what was your quilt show experience?
I have one. The CQA, which is a Canadian Quilt Association, they were in Vancouver because I live just south of Vancouver. And they had a challenge, which is where you get fabric. And then from that, you have a size restriction and you have to use so many of those fabrics in your design. And I decided to do that. And so that was my quilt. It was an art quilt. And the fun part of it is they sold them all off if you opted to do that for charity or to raise money to keep the association, helping with the association. And they had a bid list underneath all of the ones that were being rough or bidded out, auctioned off, I mean. And I was thrilled to see multiple people going up and going, raising the amount of money on the one that I made. I don't know who ultimately got it, but it just thrills me to the core that somebody has a piece of my artwork in their possession. It just makes me feel so good.
Yeah, isn't that cool? Yeah, and you say too, it's wall size, so yeah, it's probably a very lovely piece. Did you at least get a picture of it?
I have lots of pictures of it.
Oh, okay. All right.
One day I'll post it somewhere, but I do have lots of pictures. I did try to do a challenge for the Modern Quilt Guild, which is QuiltCon, and my quilt didn't make the cut. And I just thought it's a learning experience. I didn't expect to because they get thousands and thousands of entries, and I just thought I'll do it and I'll do the experience. It's actually one that I pulled out, and I'm going to try to learn to hand quilt on it
Yeah,
and and add some embellishments to it.
yeah.
'Cause I
Oh,
really
very
like the
cool.
design I did. I just think I needed to add some extra jazz to it.
Yeah. My experience in a quilt show was they gave you two or three comments that were very positive to encourage you, and then they gave you one or two comments that you could improve upon, right? So there wasn't really anything surprising because the woman that won that ribbon in my category when I had mine juried in and judged, I
Mhm.
mean, her hand quilting was exquisite. It was like, I can't hand quilt like that. I mean, her stuff was just amazing, right? So I was like, this far away from her quilting and not being able to see her stitches, so I was like, okay, oh dear. So how many stitches per inch is that? It's like when she's hand quilting, but yeah, it was gorgeous. It was absolutely incredible, the hand stitching she had done. So
A
yeah,
lot.
I don't feel bad about being not juried in. They only have so many, well, so much wall space when they're doing like our hanging space for quilts, right? You know, you
Well,
do and you do your best and you try. And they have somebody said they have like 15 seconds to decide whether it's hung or not. Some of these shows they get so many quilts in. It's like,
and then I hear that a lot of people make the mistake of even entering under the wrong category. And I go,
yes.
wow, how disappointing is that? You put all the work in and it could have gone in if it was in the right area.
Yeah.
But that's part of the learning experience as well.
Yeah, because those judges, they want the best of the best in every category to look at, right?
Yeah.
It's really hard, especially in your bigger show like Quilt Canada or something like that. Yeah, or Quilt Con or yeah,
Mhm.
those are just huge shows. So now, what's your most memorable moment in quilting?
Um, when you talk about seeing someone's face when they're given a quilt as a gift, I have a dear friend. She had gone through a lot. She was helping a lot of family members and friends with some troubling times. And through one of the quilt groups, we did a round robin. Well, I started it knowing it would ultimately be going to her as a gift.
Yeah.
She lives across the country now, so we see each other maybe once a year. We communicate quite regularly, but we don't see each other.
Yeah.
So the last time she was out here, I finished it and I gave it to her, and she was crying. I was crying. I was just, it just the emotions inside when you can bring so much joy to somebody. And she sends me pictures and she'll say, it's keeping my feet warm by the fire right now. And oh, it was very exciting to be able to do that.
Yeah, it's the excitement in their face and the joy, or yeah, it's just, and for some people it just explodes out of them. This is mine. Like they're not believing you, right? It's because it's such a special gift, right? So yeah, it's kind of cool when that happens.
Yeah.
Okay, now, so where are we here? Okay, what is your favorite tool?
Um, like everyone, I use my stitch ripper a lot. Um, I recently made one of those mats for under my sewing machine, and it's sitting right there with an easy reach. I meant to bring it into this office area, but I didn't. But I do have multiple seam rippers. Um, Second up is my starch pin.
Yes, my girlfriend Jamie gave me a pen,
That's it.
and she just got it at the dollar store, and you have to kind of like start it by pumping it a little bit or whatever. But yeah, it's perfect for starch or water. If you're going to put water and remove your foundation paper piecing is giving you grief, just a water pen isn't. Yeah, these are so cool, these little things.
Yeah, I make my own recipe to refill it now because to buy the stuff that comes with it is a little bit expensive. So I come up with a mixture that I put in it.
So
And it
you buy
does
your starch, you buy liquid starch, or you make a recipe that makes liquid starch?
I have a recipe that I just throw some things together and it seems to work quite well. But they
Yeah.
are. I highly suggest people try them.
They're just great. And when you're ironing them and you have to press open, you put just a little bit of starch, everything just lies so much flatter. Like, especially if you're going to do some special quilting or whatever. Yeah, it's perfect. That's just, the perfect thing. Good tip. That's a good tip. What tips do you have for beginners?
Um, get that 1/4 inch nailed.
Yeah.
every every time you sit down and you're going to get started on something, do the test block to make sure that you've got your seam allowance the way it needs to be. I even sit down every day, and it will vary depending on the mood, the thread I'm using, and I have to test, measure, and adjust as I go along. That's one of the um, first ones I would suggest. And also try to explore different ways of doing things. Like just because
Yes.
you learn one way doesn't mean that's the best way to do it. If you hear another way from somebody else, give that a try. Like open your mind to trying things multiple ways.
Yeah.
And I've been able to be more successful in some things because of trying just doing that.
Yeah, I sometimes I get criticized for not doing strip piecing on my channel. None of my scraps are big enough to do strip piecing, so you're working with what you got, right? So I'm working with what I got, so I don't have, strip piecing, but I always tell people, well, if you did this and you had these pieces this long, you could do strip piecing, but yeah, my scraps aren't big enough for that, so. But that's it. Yeah, those are good tips. Any other tips for a beginner?
Uh, I can't. those are the two that immediately come to mind. And also just keep trying things, perseverance. If
Yeah,
you get frustrated, put it aside, try something a little bit more at your level, and then go back when you have more confidence with what you're doing.
that's right. Yep. Some quilts aren't ever meant to be finished. That's the other
Exactly.
thing too, you know, some quilts are just, you know, if it's causing you too much pain and frustration, yeah, it needs a timeout.
Exactly. I have a few of those. I also call them my ugly quilts. The ones where I just didn't love the fabric and I just have to put it away until I have that desire to finish it.
Yep, I know, I know. Yeah, I hear you on that. So, do you have any last words of encouragement for quilters?
Um, just open your mind, give it a try. If you don't like, I don't really like flower fabric, but I'm trying to embrace it because somebody gave me a box full of flower scraps.
Yeah,
So I'm trying to open my mind and use more of those. So go into it with an open mind and you'll be surprised what the results will be.
yeah, that's very true. That's very true. I had a friend, she was actually saving floral scraps of a certain size, and she was going to make a what do they call it? A flower seed packet quilt.
Hmm.
Where it's all rectangles of flowers, and you know, and she was fussy cutting the flowers, so just like you would see on a seed packet.
Wow.
And I was like, and her quilt, when it was done, it was floral upon floral upon floral. It was like, wow. And it looked great when she was done, because it was just, you know, it was all these rectangles of flowers, and some of the rectangles, you know, like were a little bit bigger because the flower is a little bit bigger. But yeah, it was an awesome looking quilt when she was done. But she's like, "Ugh, I don't know if I want to do that again."
Done with flowers.
There was a lot of flowers in that quilt. It was a big, big quilt too. It was, I think it was a queen size when she was done. But yeah, try is my last word of encouragement. Try. Just
Yeah.
try. You know, you never know what you can do. Is if you do nothing if you don't try. So do something and try, you
And
know.
do a little chunk. Don't try to bite off the whole elephant when you're have a pattern in front of you. Just do a test block and see how it turns out. See if you like making that block, because there's ones I'm like, ooh, I'm not really liking this. Like flying geese and we do not get along. So you'll always see I'm using HSTs instead of flying geese for that reason,
Yeah.
because I have to oversize them so much to get them to be right.
Yeah.
And that's my workaround. And I'm honest about it. I say flying geese are just not something I can do properly.
Yeah,
So
and I am not good at that 4 at a time flying geese, because my scraps usually aren't that large,
mm,
right? So it's like, you know, so you get used to making your flying geese 1 at a time, or, you know, 2 at a time, because that's another method I was going to show on my channel, how to do them 2 at a time. But it's like, yeah, it's your scraps have to be big enough to work that, or to do that, right? So
yeah.
that's always a challenge for me too. So yeah, I hear you on the, there's, where was it? Quarter square triangles.
Mhm.
Oh, how yeah, just, oh, we're doing lots of them, aren't we? Those are the ones you run through as leader enders while you're sewing something else, so you don't have to sit down and do hundreds of them all at once. Yeah.
I picked that trick up from you actually.
What, the
I
leader and enders?
yes, I have a bucket beside me all the time and I'm either making fabric out of scraps or making other blocks.
Yes. That's
And
a nice trick. Yeah.
it's awesome. So I've got a couple bins with completed blocks in them now because of that method.
Yeah, I got called out a couple of weeks ago. You're making nothing but 12.5 inch blocks. Are you planning on making an orphan block quilt easier for you? And I went, dang, I got caught. It didn't take long before I got caught either. It was like, actually yeah, it was a few months ago now. It was like, yeah, all my blocks were like all of a sudden 12.5 inch size, which is a, it's a good size block, but it's like, yeah, I got caught.
Oh, oh well.
Oh, oh well. So anyways, we should wrap this up. Debbie, it was so nice that you were able to come out today. I just am so glad that you said yes to our little interview and, having fun with it and all this. And I hope you get some subscribers from this little interview as well. I mean, that's always nice to have extra bodies on your channel, right? So any of my subscribers, please go over there, see what you like. If you like, hit that subscribe button. Give her some words of encouragement too, because it's hard sometimes on YouTube. It's like especially when you're just starting out and you're under that first year. I think after a while you get it's easier once you get past your first year on YouTube, but yeah, that first year is it can be hard. Very
I
hard.
I am enjoying it so far, and I really appreciate your encouragement and support. And your Facebook group is amazing. I like to comment and be involved in that. So I'm the face behind the Canadian Scrap Exchange, if
Yeah.
anybody's watching from that. So, Brenda, thank you for doing what you do.
Okay. All right, you guys take care. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
My husband and I would love to thank you for watching our video and being so supportive of our channel. This has been just such an amazing journey we're on here on YouTube, and we wouldn't have been able to do it without you. So our thanks, truly our thanks for you. If there's anything you need, don't be afraid to contact me either through the Facebook book or through email. I'm trying to do as many viewer request videos as possible, and if I don't do it, you need to remind me, okay? So that's not a problem. But yes, it's been just absolutely amazing. Make sure you tell your gills I speak for free. We have a Facebook group, we do Zoom sew dates, and we give out nothing but free patterns. So I hope that you have an absolutely joyful year ahead and your sewing room, everything is going for you and life is great. Okay, you take care until we see each other again. Okay, bye.